We have to figure out what are people searching for and how are they searching on these AI tools versus what they were searching on Google. Recently, we had a termite control company. They are part of that top 3 search result on ChatGPT.
I'd love to hear what you think are the best tools today for traditional SEO, AI SEO. I'm here with Gary Gill, founder of Pest Control SEOs, and he's going to give us a little bit of the insight into SEO for pest control here on the Pest Playbook session today. Gary, I'm going to throw it over to you to tell us a little bit about you, your story, how you got into pest, and a little bit more about what you do with SEO.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Gary. I'm the founder and CEO of Pest Control SEOs. It's right in the name. We do SEO and we do it for pest control companies. And we go a little bit, wider than that. We will take on the complete marketing campaign of pest control businesses, from their website, their paid advertising, their SEO, and everything kind of in between, but just for pest control businesses. How I got into it is kind of just a unique way. I kind of fell right into it. I started out as a general marketing agency that basically serviced everyone, and that's usually the story with everybody when they start out, is they'll want to take on anyone and everyone. And that was kind of like me. I started out cold emailing, and we started getting clients, and we started getting roofers and plumbers and all that stuff. But we got a few pest control companies, and especially a few down in Texas, and we crushed it for them, and we did good for them. And after a couple of years of really, hammering down on results for them, we decided, and we were getting some referrals from them as well. So we decided one day to really take a step and really, take out all the other business that we had and really focus and niche down on pest control. And then ever since then, we've been running with it for about 5 years now.
That's awesome. So break it down for me. If we're looking at kind of the various sizes in pest control, right? You have someone who's just starting out, solo operator. Maybe they have one technician, to where you have a little bit larger size, medium. You've got 5, 10, 15 technicians, and then even the very large, where you've got 50, 100 technicians. Where does SEO play in each of those phases, and when does it make sense to look at bringing on an expert to help you with your SEO?
Yeah, good question. I think so. Overall, I think previously we used to be open to taking on, as an agency, we should be open to taking on anyone, right? I think now taking a look at it and really having the understanding of where each business, where they are in their journey, the brand new pest control one technician and really trying to get a foot in the door. I think it's important for them to really focus on other channels of lead acquisition rather than SEO. I think SEO really starts to play a part in the overall marketing strategy, where you can hire somebody and have them take over for you. I think it starts becoming at that 2 or 3 or 4 technician mark. And of course it goes up to, some people have 50 plus technicians, right? But that's the sweet sort of starting point. And actually in our questionnaire, we usually have a question where it says, how many techs do you have in the field? I think it's very important. The starting out 1 or 2 techs, I think the best marketing dollar spent is, there's lots of platforms out there like local service ads, very easy and very, self-explanatory platform out there to actually generate more results. Generate leads without having to actually hire anybody, right? And so we usually recommend that for people that are, just starting out. But once they start getting into that 3 or 4 technician range, that's where we start really, coming in and really taking over the strategy, and really then saying, okay, how can we get from 3 or 4 techs to 8 to 10 techs, right? And so that's where I think the sweet spot is, 4 to 5 to 6 technicians, but we have clients that have 50 or 60 technicians. And of course, their strategy is a little bit different compared to someone that has 3 or 4. But overall, I think that's kind of where each pest control business falls under.
Now, break SEO down for me. So search engine optimization, for someone who's not familiar with that, hasn't played around with it much, what really is it, and what is the fundamentals of it?
Yeah, so I know it's tossed around a lot, SEO this, SEO that, but so in a nutshell, SEO is essentially the practice of generating leads through organic search on Google. So when you type in pest control near me, you see a bunch of results. First, you'll see the sponsored ads, then you'll see the maps, And so that maps actually plays a part of SEO as well because it's organic. And then the websites that fall right below it are all organic results. And that's the use of search engine optimization. So what we do is we go in and we make changes to the website, like text, pictures, the way that the pages are laid out, and how Google sees these pages, for us to basically say, hey, our website is the most trustworthy and the best option for people that are looking for a pest control company in a certain city. And so that's the overall kind of strategy of SEO. Of course, it goes much deeper into there, but in a nutshell, SEO is just basically a race to the top for the organic searches when people are looking for anything in general, but in this case, if you're talking about pest control.
If I was a pest control owner, let's say I'm a smaller company, time's limited, money's limited, what are the top 3 things you would recommend that someone could do to get the quickest boost on an SEO search engine result?
Definitely. I think one of the most, and this is what I often suggest, is one of the most underrated parts of an SEO strategy is actually your Google Maps. So I see a lot of businesses, they don't focus on Google reviews. So I would say really focus on your Google reviews, really have your Google business profile fully optimized, upload as many pictures as possible, upload as many service types that you offer as possible, post every day, right? Every single day, post and publish on there. And then your Google business profile, your website, both are 2 separate entities, but really combine them both, right? Interlink to, link from your Google business profile to your website. And then on your website side of things, set up a website with all your services, and then upload just a bunch of content. Start uploading content by yourself, right? Different tips and tricks that people you probably get frequently asked questions from current clients that you have. Start answering those, uploading them onto your website. And the sooner you start, the more you start putting content on the website. It's kind of like a snowball effect, right? As you kind of keep going, it just kind of builds on itself. So for someone that's looking to kind of start implementing this strategy on their own from today, and don't have the marketing dollar to really invest into with a company or someone to take over, I think that would be the best strategy to really start getting things going, especially the Google business profile. I emphasize this often. It's often underlooked, and it's usually people rush to the website, but we drive a ton of calls from the Google business. I see Google business profiles every day, and I see how many calls actually get driven from it compared to a website.
What about AI content? Is there any penalty if you're using AI to help write your content? Do you see any negative repercussions of doing that?
So we've actually had a lot of questions about this recently. So we still write our content ourselves, right? And the reason for that is AI content, it's going to be huge, right? It is already becoming massive, right? Google even launched their own Gemini. There's Perplexity, there's ChatGPT, and there's so many variations, right? And we've actually incorporated into our strategy of how we can actually rank for people that are looking for the pest control businesses in these different search engines like ChatGPT and things like that. Having said that, for us, we still feel like like human written content is still prioritized a little bit more than AI content. But the use of AI content, like if you're using these AI tools and writing content on there, and then coming in there and actually just humanizing it a little bit and editing it and making sure that it actually flows well and reads well, that's also a good strategy. Google doesn't penalize it. Google doesn't, say that this is not quality content, but you just have to be a little bit more careful as to, you just don't grab it from the AI and then slap it onto your website and call it a day. Google will recognize that right away because there's a lot of people that actually do that, right? And so I would say write it if if you're short on time or you really want to publish some good quality content without really thinking about it too much. Use AI, but then go in there and actually edit it and take some time to really humanize it and read it in a way that you would read it, right? The same way that you'd read it is what your client would read it as, and that's the best thing that Google really looks for. And so before you actually publish it, I would really recommend going through it and editing and adding your own your edits to it.
Well, that's great. Great advice. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the AI search. I saw some crazy stat. I didn't look into it at all. I was just scrolling through my feed that 40% Google's down 40% on their searches, and that it's being taken over through AI search. I don't know if that's a true stat, but I imagine it's had an impact, right? People going to ChatGPT and searching. You had mentioned you guys have started exploring how to rank in these AI engines. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, that kind of seems like the future, right, of SEO is you have to rank
It is, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, definitely. So actually, I was actually taking a look at how many searches people actually use ChatGPT versus Google, and it's actually starting to come neck and neck. Like it's starting to come close, right? And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Having said that, so like some of these tools, like so Google's a search engine itself, right? What these AI tools do is they actually crawl the search engines themselves. It still crawls Google, and it brings the data to the user in a much more much more convenient way. Previously, you have to use to go to Google and type in what you're looking for, and then search through all the searches, and then really find the best result. That's find the best website or find the best result that has the answer that you're looking for. Now you actually just tell this AI tool like ChatGPT, hey, find me this for me. It's still going to go source it from Google, or I mean, it's going to take it's going to source it from multiple different like websites, but all that data is still getting pulled from Google, and so it's still at the end of the day, it's still a way of ranking, or still people can still get to your website, but just through now another third party where people search through. The way that we rank is that there's certain searches, like how you search on Google versus how you search on AI is a little bit different, right? You go on Google, you type in pest control near me. You might go on ChatGPT and the searches are way different. Hey, can you find the best rated pest control company in my area that's near me or something, whatever it might be. Like it's a very long search, right? So now what we've started to do is the way that people are searching on ChatGPT is now like it's a whole new learning curve. And so now we have to figure out what are people searching for and how are they searching on these AI tools versus what they were searching on Google, and how can we actually start popping up in those? Like recently we had a termite control company, and we actually had them pop up in like the way that we structure the content is people were like, find the best rated termite control or companies in the Ventura County or whatever it might be. And so now they are part of that top 3 search result on ChatGPT, where ChatGPT actually suggests them. And when the goal is, they're still going to click onto the result, and then they're still going to land on their website, but it's just in a different way. But they still rank on Google for them to be able to show up.
So just to backpedal a little on that, this termite company that you've been able to get to show up in the ChatGPT rankings, what is it that ChatGPT or some of these other AI engines are looking for when they're going through Google and someone says, give me the top recommendations? Are they looking at like Google business profile reviews? How is ChatGPT determining, okay, these are the best companies you should look at?
So it actually pulls a bunch of data. It pulls your Google reviews. It'll actually pull up all your reviews, your Yelp, your Angie's List, your Google reviews. It'll pull up everything, and then it'll kind of, if someone types in top rated, it's going to pull all that data. So now reviews are actually becoming more important, not just on Google, but on multiple different platforms. Secondly, it starts pulling data, like actual content from your website. So if you have written within a page, let's just say you have something written like top rated termite control company as a heading tag, it might pull that and then combine it with your reviews. And once it combines everything together, you might pull up as a result, right? So the way that you use the verbiage on your website now is starting to matter, because like I said, the search is being made. Previously, you can stuff your entire website with pest control and then city name, exterminator, city name, top rated, or just a few buzzwords, right, that people search for. Now there's so many variations of people looking for, like, you can't even catch up with, you put 10 people in a room and you ask them to search for a pest control company, even on Google versus even ChatGPT, you're going to get slightly variations of the way that they search for something, right? Everybody has their own method. So now with ChatGPT, it's really long tail searches. And so now we have to start catering and start looking for ways that people are searching there so that we still show up in ChatGPT. So the content, what we type in the content, what we have in our pages matters as well. But it does pull a lot of data from existing reviews and things like that, where you have your Google reviews, your Yelp, your Angie's List, your Home Advisor.
Interesting. So it sounds like to me, reviews is a big deal for AI engines. Very specific content that has longer tail questions and answers is a big deal. Do you see in the next 5-10 years, this trend continuing where Google traffic is going more and more towards the AI engines?
As we progress, and I think this is just the beginning, right? And it's funny because it all kind of hit at once. In the last, I think 4 or 5 months, I've had 15 or 20 emails from, I've never seen it, right? 15 or 20 different clients specifically reach out saying, what the subjects, something to do with AI changing. What are we doing about AI? And so they're basically asking us hey, Gary, what are we doing about this shift in landscape towards AI, right? That's the simple question that everybody has. And we actually started when we started realizing this, we shifted our entire content strategy focus. I think it's going to even blow up even more, right? That's not to say that Google's going to it's going to phase Google out. At the end of the day, Google's still going to be that place where people go to search. But the results that are populated there are just now people go directly to Google. But now there's so many people that go to ChatGPT. They go to Perplexity. Now Gemini starts populating their own results. There's going to be a ton more that pop up and going to get popular, and people are going to use those. But at the end of the day, it just makes it more important for you to actually rank on Google to be able to be populate there. You're not going to not rank on Google and not have any presence on Google, and then all of a sudden start optimizing only for ChatGPT. There's no way that's going to happen, right? Google's a search engine, so you have to have the perfect strategy, a really good strategy that's going to be able to rank you on Google, but you want to optimize for ChatGPT. So anybody now doing an SEO strategy or looking to get into SEO strategy, I think one of your questions should be, what's the agencies or whoever you're going to work with, what's their plan to be able to rank you in the AI as well, right? That should be a very, very important question. Now it's how are you going to rank us in maps? How are you going to rank us in organically on Google? But how are you really going to rank us in these AI tools, right? That should be a very important question.
Yes, 100%. And I remember the question I was going to ask you. So I think what's really interesting about these AI engines is the intent. And I can't remember the statistic, but I did read something on my scrolling. I guess I have SEO content coming to me, but something about the intent to purchase is so much higher because it makes sense, right? You start to trust GPT almost as an advisor, right? So you're hey, if GPT is saying this is the best company, that's who we're going with. Do you have any thoughts on intent and what the click through to purchase is with AI searches like that?
Yeah. So I think it's basically Google, you used to have to fend for yourself. You used to have to basically type in your search, whatever you're looking for, and now go out and search all these things by yourself. Let's just do the first 3 or 4 results, and then make an informed decision for yourself, right? And now, it's even more easier because now you don't even have to do that process. I remember when we were younger, we didn't have, we had Google, but of course it wasn't as popular, or it isn't as big as it is now. And we used to have to, even search through a bunch of things before we even got to an answer, right? Now, even for the last few years, Google is really easy, but you still have to make that decision. You still have to go and figure out things for yourself of what the best actually resource is. Now you just go to GPT and be hey, what is the actual statistic, or what's the best result? I don't even have to go and find do math or do these percentages and things like that or anything on Google anymore. Where before you used to go on Google, you find a tool and you input all the data yourself, and then you find the best tool first, then you input the data, and then you get the answer. Now just tell GPT, hey, here's my numbers, figure it out for me, right? And so now when people are going on GPT or other tools, they're whatever they tell them, that's the actual that's the answer, right? They're gonna follow that because ChatGPT has already done all the research. Like I said, it takes up all the different reviews that company has online. It combines them together. It basically then cross-references with the content they have on their website and everything in between. And then it populates the result for you. It basically cuts your research time in by 99%, right? And so that's why it's more important to have all these signals of the content, the reviews, and all that stuff properly dialed in, because once someone goes on ChatGPT and they look for an answer, or they're looking for, let's just say in this case, like a pest control company, if ChatGPT tells them this is the number one rated pest control company in that area, well, guess what? They're going to call that company in that area.
There's a lot of tools in SEO. I'm sure there's some you guys use from the agency side. I'd love to hear what you think are the best tools in the landscape today for traditional SEO, AI SEO, and get your perspective and take on that for anyone who's looking to leverage the right tools.
Yeah, so definitely. I don't think you need too many tools. There's only a couple of, so I live and die by SEMrush. I know there's always SEMrush is a tool where you can basically take a look at what keywords are getting how many searches per month, and it gives you suggestions and all that stuff. I live and die by SEMrush, but there's an alternative called Ahrefs, which, they go hand in hand with one another. You can use either or, but you need a tool like that to really do your research as to what type of content is being searched, what's keywords are getting searched on a monthly basis, how many times, all that stuff, right? And you can then also compare websites from your website versus your competitors, what their authority score is, what type of traffic you get. And it's all about, SEO is all about reverse engineering the success that someone already that ranks there, right? So you can actually take a look and be like sitting there one day and be like, hey, I want to see what my top 3 competitors are doing in my city. Like, what are they doing so well? You can actually plug in their website into these tools and actually see exactly step by step what types of keywords they're ranking for, how their pages are set up, what types of links they have, all that good stuff, right? I would say that's the most important tool. Secondly, for AI, we use ChatGPT a lot, right? So it's really important. I think it's a really cool tool. It spits out a lot of good information, and so we use that. We have the pro version of it, so we love using it, right? And then in terms of checking, so as I was saying earlier, where you want to use AI for content, which is great, but you should have a tool in place that basically helps you sift through that information, and you can humanize it and make sure that it's within Google's guidelines. And when you're publishing it works well, right? So those would be the few tools, like ChatGPT, of course. I recommend SEMrush, and then a keyword tracking tool, like how you can actually track your keywords if you want to really see where the progress is. We use something called SERProbot, which basically we are able to track all the keywords. And then lastly, most of this is a very old school tool, and people still use it. It's called Screaming Frog, which is you can have an online version or like a download version where you plug in a website, it extracts all your pages, and you can see all the titles, descriptions, and all that stuff. So there's not too many tools that you really need, but I would say there's some of the top ones. SEMrush, if you have SEMrush or Ahrefs, you're pretty good.
And those two are pretty comparable, not a huge difference between.
No, I think pricing is very similar. It's more about preference, right? What you start out using. I started out using SEMrush, and so we've stuck to it. I have friends that live and die by Ahrefs, and that's it's totally interesting.
Cool. Well, thanks, Gary. Awesome insights. I think there's a lot of gems in here for an SEO playbook, and of course, if you're looking for an expert, Gary is the guy in pest control.